Here's Flanders' Friend, Chapter 30, entitled Snow on Snow. Tim slept well that night, and he pondered on all of the things that had happened to him, and he once again thought of his dad. As tears pricked his eyes, he smiled at all of the old memories which came into his mind before he was swept over by the tide of sleep. Tim woke to the sound of pattering on the windows, and he looked out, and all that he could see was white. The treetops were white, the cars were covered in a film of snow, and even the milk bottles had a layer of ice on their silver bottle tops. It was so cold in his bedroom that he was almost afraid to get out of bed, and he put on his slippers and woolly dressing gown, and he got ready to brave the cold. He bent down to pick up the bottles, and they were so cold to touch that he gasped. A bird had been pecking away at the silver tops, but then it had given up and flown away. Tim quickly shut the front door behind him, and he whipped the top off the bottle, ready to cover his cornflakes with lovely fresh milk. He was so hungry that he couldn't wait to tuck in, and he tipped the bottle up, but nothing came out. Tim held the bottle up higher, and still nothing. The cornflakes were still untouched and as dry as old wood. Tim held the milk bottle above his head, and he shook it. It was frozen solid. Tim looked at the cornflakes, and his stomach began to rumble, but he couldn't help laughing out loud, and then he wondered how Arthur was doing. It can't be easy sleeping out in the cold, thought Tim, feeling guilty. Tim drank a quick coffee to warm himself up, and he decided to set off and check up on Arthur to see how he was. Tim blinked to wake the snow as it covered his face, and he shuddered as the snow fell into his shoes. All along the streets, people were shoveling snow from their driveways, and the sounds of coughing and spluttering of noisy cars filled the air. It was as if all of the world had come to a stop, and everything was moving in slow motion. Tim marched on, and he saw a giant tabby cat struggling to walk and making swirling footprints in the snow. Tim wished that he had a camera to take photos, as the footprints were so pretty. The trees were wilting with the snow, and Tim could see Arthur's tent was covered like a little mountain, and he couldn't help feeling cornered. He only hoped that Arthur was safe and warm. The closer Tim got to the tent, the louder his heart was beating, and he had a vision in his mind of Arthur laying as frozen as a bottle of milk.